Hello and welcome back to Katie's and Ryan's Adventures and to part 2 of our Balmoral cruise series. If you haven't already watched part 1, head over to our channel. It's day 3 and we are sailing down the River Seine and into the port of Rouen in France. Let's start things off with some breakfast in the Avon restaurant. This restaurant offers some great views as we sail down the river, a great way to start the day. We will be rating our plates again in this video. After finishing breakfast, it was time to head out on the open decks and take in some of the views and scenery. It rained during the first part of the morning, but didn't stop us from taking in the views. The River Seine starts in Dijon, following northwest, passing through Paris and finally empties into the English Channel at Le Havre. It stretches 482 miles with only 230 miles navigable by a commercial ship. We sailed under a few bridges on our way down. In actual fact, the River Seine has over 300 bridges, including a few famous ones in Paris. We'll be walking over one in Paris a bit later on. The weather started to improve and the rainy skies cleared to sunshine, making the sail even more incredible. We passed several villages, picturesque countryside, French vineyards before heading into the commercial port. We'll leave you with some shots of our sailing now. A deck barbecue took place for lunch. It was our first deck barbecue at sea. We thought this was a really nice touch from Fred Olsen and we enjoyed our burgers while taking in the views. The transit down the River Seine took around 6 hours. Shortly before 3 o'clock, we spun around 180 degrees and onto our berth in Rouen. It's time for some afternoon tea at the Thistle restaurant before heading out to explore the riverside part of Rouen. On our way out, we came across a tea tasting experience going on in the Oriental Tea Room. This is an extra charge, but looks like a lovely way to try out different teas if that's what you're into. Just a couple of 100 metres from the ship you'll find a maritime museum. It's completely free. Unfortunately, as it was Sunday, it was closed, so we couldn't check it out. We took a stroll along Rouen Riverside and came across a bowling complex, restaurants and bars and a food hall. A great spot if you fancy a drink or something to eat. There's a small water taxi here if you wanted to visit the other side of the river. Rouen offers river and dinner cruises too. After dinner, we checked out some entertainment in the Neptune Lounge. Tonight was Dance Fever.
I got fever. word you speak. Every breath and every beat can be so very sweet.
It's day 4 and we were up early as we decided to make a trip to Paris for the day. We took an Uber to Rouen train station, which was reasonably priced at €10 and only took around 15 minutes. We got our tickets from a self-service machine at the station. Here's how to get an adult day return. We paid €40 each return. The train journey into Paris took around an hour and a half and offered great views along the River Seine. We bought a Navigo travel pass online. These are much cheaper than the Paris travel passes. This meant we could travel on the bus, metro and tram around Paris, a very affordable way of travelling around the city and making sure we saw all the sights in one day. We had a jam-packed list and explored all the touristy places whilst here in Paris, so we'll leave you with some of our shots of the day. While in Paris, we couldn't miss walking down the famous shopping avenue, which offers an array of designer shops. Can you believe this is a hotel owned by Louis Vuitton? You can either walk up the steep steps up the basilica or take the funicular. As we wrap up our day in Paris, we couldn't resist seeing the Eiffel Tower one last time. It certainly is iconic. What are your favourite things to do in Paris? Did we miss anything? Leave a comment below. Time to head back to Rouen and back to the ship. We had an amazing day in Paris, sightseeing and exploring this beautiful city. We will be back again in the future. We hope you enjoyed exploring with us. We arrived back on board in time for a drink in the observatory before heading down to dinner. After dinner, we decided to take a short walk around to the other side of the river to wind down for the evening. We took in some lovely night shots of Balmoral before heading back to the ship. Even with all the metros and trams, we walked a total of 11 miles and 27,000 steps. So on that note, it's time for bed. And that's it for part 2 of our Balmoral cruise. Join us next time for part 3. Coming up next, join us for our last couple of days on board Balmoral as we explore Rouen and try dodging rain showers, enjoy a drink in the jacuzzi, watch a rainy sail away, attend the captain's cocktail party, enjoy our last dinner on board celebrating Gala night, and say goodbye to Balmoral. As always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button. See you next time.